Hi guys, welcome to my channel, Lishe by Chiri. My name is Chiri, but most people know me as Joy. I am a clinical nutritionist, and I thought that it would be good for me to just come to this platform in order to share knowledge on various nutritional topics. A lot of my friends have been asking me about certain topics regarding to nutrition. So I thought it would be good for me to share not only with them, but to try and reach as much people as I could using this channel. So today I'd like to talk to you about basically nutrition and with regards to COVID-19 and ways in which we can boost our immunity in light of this pandemic. We know that COVID-19 has been with us from around December of last year, and it has spread to most parts of the world, even here in Kenya. We also know that it is a respiratory syndrome, having symptoms such as coughing, sneezing, fever, shortness of breath. And I'd just like basically to talk to you guys about ways to keep safe, how we can boost our immunity using our diet, and hopefully you'll benefit from the various topics, or rather the various points I share with you. So I'd like to talk to you basically about the nutrients that help to boost immunity, and then give you examples of foods where you can find the various nutrients. So the first one I'll share with you is vitamin C, and I know most of you know that vitamin C has basically been used, or rather foods rich in vitamin C have been used to help manage cough and common colds and flus, whereby you find our mothers or our grandmothers making concoctions for us using lemon and ginger and things like those. So vitamin C is an antioxidant. It helps to boost immunity, and it can even help to manage some symptoms associated with COVID-19, such as coughing, or perhaps if you have a sore throat, can actually help to manage those symptoms, because we know that COVID-19 has no cure, and so the kind of treatment that's being afforded to COVID-19 positive patients is basically just treatment to manage the symptoms. So if you have a fever, they give you something for the fever. If you have a cough, they give you something for the cough, etc. etc. So foods rich in vitamin C include citrus fruits, and these are basically your oranges, your lemons, your grapefruits, your limes. We also find vitamin C in strawberries and in pineapple. You can also find vitamin C in most green leafy vegetables, for example, your kale, your spinach, and you can also find it in bell pepper, which is basically pilipili hoho. We also have vitamin A. Vitamin A is also an antioxidant, and it is a fat-soluble vitamin, which basically means that it dissolves in fat. So it's good if you want to maximize your intake, or your uptake of vitamin A. It's good to combine vitamin A rich foods with a source of fat. Like for example, if it's vitamin A maybe in kale or in spinach, it's good to cook it in oil so that your body can be able to absorb it. But basically, you can find vitamin A in most bright colored fruits. So like if you're going to a market and just look at all kinds of colors of fruits, like you can find red, you can find yellow, you can be sure that those fruits are rich in vitamin A. Vitamin A is also found in green leafy vegetables, spinach, kale, things like those. It is also found in carrot, which I know most of you know from Kitambo. You can also find vitamin A in animal products such as meats, and also in dairy products. I'd also like to mention vitamin E, which is also a fat-soluble vitamin, and it is also an antioxidant, which works to boost immunity. Seeing as it's a fat-soluble vitamin, it basically means it is found in fatty fish and things like those, in nuts and seeds. So for instance, because nuts have some oil, so in nuts like peanuts, cashew nuts, macadamia nuts, in seeds such as sunflower seeds, chia seeds, and things like those, It is also found in green leafy vegetables again. So here we have your spinach, you have your kale, you have your, managu, terere, and others. It is also found in pumpkin, and mostly even in the pumpkin seeds. Yeah. So the next one I'd like to talk about is so basically I've mentioned vitamins that work to boost our immunity. I'd also like to mention just 3 minerals that also boost immunity, and the first one is zinc. Zinc also works to control inflammation, and I'm sorry here for using, Dr. E terms. But zinc is found in meat and in poultry. It is also found in legumes like beans and even in some seafoods. We have another one called selenium, which is basically another mineral, a micronutrient. Selenium is found in fish, in nuts, also in green leafy vegetables. So the last mineral I like to share with you about is iron. And as many of you know, iron is found in liver and red meat. And these are your sources of heme iron, which are very readily absorbed into the body and into the bloodstream. But you also have plant sources of iron. So fret not if maybe perhaps you're not a meat person. Iron is found in legumes like beans, like njahe, and by njahe I mean black beans. I know most people don't like it. I personally love njahe. I know some of my friends who don't like it, but yeah, you don't know what you're missing out on. It is also found in green leafy vegetables and in cereals. So in cereals, basically like you have your wheat flour, you have oats, you have maize flour, and things like those. So basically, when they are being processed, since they lose most of their nutrients, companies like to fortify their grain products, their cereal products with various micronutrients. One of them being iron. So you can find iron in those foods. I think one thing I'd like to mention just for your knowledge is that plant sources of iron are usually not readily absorbed into the body as much as animal sources. So in order for you to gain the maximum amount of iron when you eat from a plant source, you should combine it with a source of vitamin C. It helps to absorb the iron. And I mentioned earlier the sources of vitamin C. And so those are basically the different groups of nutrients that can help to boost your immunity. So I'm sure you've noticed that when I was talking about various food examples, some of them were being mentioned for multiple nutrients. So I guess what I'd just advise you to do is to try as much as you can to eat foods from different food groups as often as you can. And so these food groups basically include starches and cereals. Cereals, I mentioned wheat, I mentioned maize, I mentioned oats, there's rice also, there's sorghum, millet. And then with starches, we have basically foods like potatoes, we have sweet potatoes, we have arrowroots, we have pumpkin, and foods like those. Then another food group we have is just basically vegetables. Here we have examples like green leafy vegetables, we have carrots, we have broccoli, we have cauliflower, we have asparagus and things like those. And some of these are usually just readily available at the marketplace and they usually don't go for a lot of money. Then we have our fruits, I'm sure you already have in your heads examples of different kind of fruits. We also have legumes and nuts, and these ones include, your beans, your green beans, your peas, you have your green grams or ndengu, we have your lentils or kamande, cowpeas. The examples are a lot, nuts like peanuts, like cashew nuts, and things like those. We also have another group we have is basically meats and fish. Yeah, we have all kinds of meats. We have beef, we have chicken, we have fish, we have mutton, we have goat, and examples like those. We also include eggs in this group. Another food group we have is dairy products, just milk, yogurt, cheese, butter, things like those. And so if you at least attempt to eat foods from each of these food groups, you are catered for in terms of most micronutrients. Yeah, so you might not necessarily need supplementation unless maybe you have a deficiency, or maybe you are in a body state where you are more prone to lose these nutrients. Like, for example, if you are a pregnant lady, for we know pregnant women are usually get supplements for iron and folic acid. Yeah, so if you eat foods from most of these food groups, you'll be okay. You'll at least get most of these nutrients that I'm talking about, as well as other nutrients which are very beneficial to the health of the body. I'd also like to mention that it is good to try and maintain a healthy weight. You might find that people who perhaps are underweight or overweight are usually prone to certain illnesses, and I can even use my own example. When I was in campus, I was very small. In fact, my BMI was like 17 point something, and if you know, like BMI ranges, that meant I was underweight and I would get sick a lot. And infections, blood infections, things like those. And I remember there was a time I got sick and I told my dad. I told my dad, I don't feel okay. And then he's like, "It's because you don't eat." Yeah. So if you maintain at least a healthy weight, depending on your height, depending on your, the status of your health, it would be good to boost your immunity. It is also good at least to try and exercise or maintain physical activity. I know, especially in a season like this where most of us perhaps are at home, it might be a bit hard, but it would be good to try and take walks, go up and down the stairs, as opposed to using an elevator or a lift. Try and do simple workouts at home, and you should be okay. It is also good to get enough sleep. If you don't get enough sleep, basically, or rather, let me put it like this: lack of sleep is an immunosuppressant, which means basically it can lower your immunity if you don't get enough sleep. And then sleep deprivation also can cause a person who is already sick to take a longer time to recover. So it is good for us to get enough sleep. I'd also like just to remind you, especially in this season, that if you're going out, basically just wear a mask. Try as much as you can to wash your hands with soap and water as often as you can. If perhaps maybe you've gone out and you don't have access to soap and water, it's good to carry sanitizer so that you can keep sanitizing your hands, especially if you're touching a lot of surfaces. But at home, you can try as much as you can to keep surfaces clean, clean them well. It is also good to just maintain that social distance. I know we miss each other. I miss my friends. I miss my family, but at least I'm encouraged that though we are apart, we're not alone, and that we are just trying to keep these measures so that our people, our children, our vulnerable populations can be safe. Yes, and that's the end of my video. Thank you so much for your patience, and thank you so much for listening to me. Please be sure to like and subscribe, and just give me a little bit of feedback in the comment section about what you thought of the video. And you can tell me also about various topics you'd like me to handle, topics you'd like me to talk about. Have a great day. I pray that you'll keep safe and that you'll be in good health. Bye bye.